Hi, I'm Lewis, and welcome to my seventh Wow. Yeah, my seventh devlog for my tower defense game, Project Torrim. Last week I managed to get mobile input working, and this week I'd like to clear up some issues with the mobile build, clean up some of the older code in the system, and move on to adding a settings menu for the game. Let's start this week off with this mobile build task. This task is just a couple of things I've wanted since I started mobile development. First, I want the game to fill the screen. This has been bothering me since I got the game on mobile. As you can see here, the game only fills up 1/4 of the screen. This is because the resolution of the game is set to half the resolution of the screen. The rest of the screen is coloured with my Android background colour, which is this horrible green. I already have a full screen function that works on Windows, so I should be able to just use that. The other thing I have in the checklist is a landscape orientation change. Whilst I think the game should always be in landscape mode, it would certainly benefit from being flipped around if your device is held upside down. So let's get to it. Okay, so I've managed to make some good progress on these tasks. The game now fills the mobile screen, and I have orientation changes working. I came across a bit of an issue where my UI elements were disappearing because they were relying on the scale of the view rather than the actual view size. That was fairly quick to sort out, and I can mark this task as done. Moving on, I have a task to introduce event args to my input and collision functions. Currently they just take in however many parameters they want, and I know this can be improved with the event args pattern. So I'm going to read up on the event patterns themselves and work out how I can introduce this kind of stuff to my game. Ah, cool. That's fantastic to see I haven't broken the game, which is always a concern when you do a big sweeping change across core systems in a program. I'm happy with this change, and I can move this task over to done. Whilst I don't have a standard event pattern in place, the event args pattern that I'm using is a great step towards that, and something I can look into in the future. Today I'm starting work on my settings menu task list. The first task in this list is to pause the game in order to start showing the settings, so let's get to it. Okay, so this is my progress so far. The game starts as usual, and when I tap the P button, it will pause the game. This hides the UI layer and shows a new overlay layer, which at the moment just has some text that says pause. I now need to add some settings to this UI, so I'm going to look at adding some graphical options. Checking in again this morning, and this is my progress. Opening the pause menu, you will now see 3 buttons. These will allow you to switch the game between full screen windowed, and windowed mode. Unfortunately, full screen doesn't get recorded by OBS, however both the windowed versions do. I'm happy with this progress, and I can mark these tasks as done. I think this is a great start to the game settings menu, and I'm happy I can finally give the player the option to switch between these different graphical options. It's Wednesday and today I'm starting work on the sound settings. First I'll need to introduce channels for sounds, and then I'll get to add sliders to control the volume of those channels. I'll catch up when I've got some vim with this. Okay, I've got some semblance of sound channels working now, both for sound effects and songs. The way we can show this off is when I press the K key, I'll get a sound effect, and if I press my L key, I'll get a song. This is a great start. Getting sounds into channels seems like a great feature, and I think there's a lot of room to expand this in the future. I didn't quite get around to adding UI sliders, so that's something I'll have to look at tomorrow. This morning I'm continuing with the sound settings, creating a slider UI to control sound channels I created yesterday. I suspect I'll be able to piggyback off my draggable components that towers use to do this, so let's give it a go. This is what I've managed to get this morning. If I open the settings menu, you'll see the slider that I've been working on. This slider has a corresponding text to let you know the float value it represents. Sliding this around lets the user move this value between 0 and 1, which I'll look at using for adjusting sound channels. Seeing this slider UI work out has made me really happy. Having the drag component already in the game engine really helped, and all I really had to do was limit the position of the slider to the constraints of the rectangle. It's Friday, the last day in my development week. This morning I'll be hooking up my slider UI to the volume of my sound channels, introducing a master volume slider and adding a settings button for the mobile version to access the settings menu I've been working on. So let's get to it. Alright, here's today's demo. The game looks normal except for this new button in the top right. In the future I'd love for this to have a settings cog sprite, but my buttons currently don't support that. Clicking or tapping this button opens the settings menu, which has 3 volume sliders, one for master, one for music, and one for effects. Whilst I was moving these, you may have noticed there's an issue with this. Each volume slider starts in the middle despite having a volume of 1. Clicking the slider makes it snap to the far right. They also don't update their sound channels in real time. So I've added a task for these issues, and I'll be looking at implementing those first thing next week. I am absolutely thrilled with this week's progress. After the last 2 weeks focusing on mobile, it's felt really great to power through so many tasks and end up with this great settings menu. As I look at the future tasks of the game, things are starting to feel much more tangible as the development moves over from engine features into content changes. Thanks for watching this devlog for Project Torrim. I'm having a blast recording my progress and I hope you're enjoying it too. If you are, please leave the video a like and share it with others in the game dev community. Despite the small impact my videos have in the game dev community, I really appreciate all the feedback I've managed to gather so far. Also, don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with the progress on Project Torrim. Thank you, and goodbye.